So I saw John just post on the Facebook page doing some lower radiator hose repairs and replacement on his 4104. And I had a hot minute. I've seen, at least while I've been on this page, a number of different stories of people talking about broken hose clamps, split hoses, different issues like that, where it has led to some less than $1 hose clamp breaking, stripping out, you name it, leaks out all their coolant, and they wind up, if they're lucky, getting towed to a shop, not so lucky, with a trashed engine. So, hose clamps. You got a couple different types, believe it or not. You have options. These are your standard off-the-shelf, nothing special hose clamp. They're made of stainless steel. Stainless steel is soft. There's a worm gear on the inside of this. This is what allows it to tighten and expand. Generally, they're good for about one use. Let's face it, we're all prone to grossly over-tightening these things because we don't want them to leak. Again, they're stainless steel. All of these hose clamps are stainless steel. Stainless steel is soft. That worm gear, usually what winds up happening, is it starts to eat up and chew and pull on the cuts in the middle here. And next thing you know, it pops. Doesn't hold the same tension, and you lose your coolant, or you wind up, if you're lucky, with a cold water leak. Generally, I try to get rid of these. I have them on my truck for emergency purposes, but that's really about it. If I'm doing a repair, I write them up and I replace them with either constant Torx or T-bolt style. But we'll get there. This style. This is still a worm clamp. Still the same mechanism used between the two. The difference is this is shielded. This has a liner on the inside of it. It's designed for silicone hose. The reason being, when you go and install an unshielded hose clamp on something like rubber fuel injection line or even these silicone hoses, the edge here will actually dig into the silicone and damage the hose. So anytime you're using silicone hose, it's recommended that you use a shielded hose clamp. These do hold tension and torque a little bit better. I think they provide a little bit more of a uniform pressure on the hose itself. We use these for a lot of engine block heaters or water pump bypass lines. It's a decent hose clamp. I'm not going to discount it. It is a little bit stronger, and it's just an opinion, than these guys. These are my personal favorite. As you can see, they come in a variety of different sizes. This is a constant torque clamp. It is still a worm clamp, but as you can see, the worm clamp is quite a bit bigger. Or I should say the worm drive is quite a bit bigger. It's also a bit wider. These are tightened and have a coil here that as you tighten it down, it will provide, constant torque clamp, a constant pressure on the hose. These you can tighten down a lot more than a hose clamp. Good clamp overall, still stainless steel, still uses and has a risk of stripping out. T-bolt. You see these a lot on air cleaner systems. This does not use the worm clamp. It's got a nice fat bolt that goes through the center. Generally, a point of failure is somebody over tightens them, and this section will start to spread apart, and the T-bolt will actually rip out. Or rust, corrosion. While the clamp itself is stainless steel, the bolt is not. The bolt is mild steel. The nut is stainless steel. What happens is, especially in the wonderful Northeast, we get oxidation and galling. The salt and the corrosive atmosphere fuses the two metals together if you don't put some kind of never seize on it, and the bolt strips. Usually it blows this back part apart. However, unless you go to undo the bolt or tighten it, it's not going to fail unless you mess with it. And in that case, you just cut it off and replace it with a new one. Really, really, really good clamp. Now, as far as installing them, you got your piece of hose. What I usually recommend is you stagger the hose. Or I should say you stagger the hose clamps. What you're gonna do is I will put one high and one low. This way, they can both be pretty close together. You stagger them, puts a fair amount of pressure, and it gives you a redundancy. If one clamp for some reason breaks, snaps, pops, you name it, you have another clamp that will stop you from losing your fluid. Yeah, that's really about it. So you have your regular unshielded auto parts store hose clamps. You have your shielded hose clamps. This is meant for silicone hose. You have your constant Torx, and you have your T-bolt. And that's it.